Methods are really important when it comes to language learning, but without principles, they're not as effective. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, hi, my name is Jennifer Victoria. This is my channel where I talk about language learning. I speak 4 languages, I would say 5, but I'm still learning German, so I don't really count with German. And today I'm going to talk about a very, very important thing when it comes to language learning, which are principles. So as you saw at the beginning of the video, I talked about how important methods are, but without principles, they don't work as effective as they could if you had the principles behind all of it. The reason why polyglots like Luca Lampariello, for example, succeed in learning languages isn't sometimes because of their methods. It's actually because of the principles that they're following that sometimes nobody knows about, but I'm here to tell you today. So without further ado, let's start with regularity. Let me tell you something. If you are not regular, you are not going to learn your language. You've got to work, you've got to study every single day. I've seen some people who started learning English, but they didn't stick to it, and because of this lack of regularity, they didn't succeed. I've also seen some people, and I see this very often, who study English only 2 days a week because their English course is a 2 days a week thing, and then that doesn't work either. So what's the solution to all of this? Is you finding a way to fit some sort of activity into your daily routine. So if, for example, you don't have classes every day with your teacher, you can, for example, watch videos. Videos are for free and they're extremely accessible, so you can just go on YouTube and you can just watch a video. And that's how you keep having contact with the language and you keep it up. You have regularity. Next thing we're going to talk about here, the next point, is consistency. And I see that with this specific thing, people have a lot of problem. And I think this is the hardest thing to develop in language learning. But I haven't seen any successful language learner who doesn't have it. All of them, if you look at all of the language learners who have succeeded in learning a language, you will identify that all of them have consistency. So what does that mean exactly? It just means that you do something for a long period of time. The problem nowadays, one of the problems nowadays why people don't learn languages isn't just because of regularity or because of methods. It's actually because they don't have this consistency. They don't do it for enough time. If you've been learning English for, I don't know, 3 months and then you don't see the results that you expected and you give up, that's lack of consistency. That's lack of consistency, and that's what is going to stop you from actually learning the language, from succeeding, from advancing, because you don't see the results if you don't have consistency, I'm telling you. And why is consistency sometimes so hard to develop? Because it challenges yourself. There will be really hard days where you don't feel like you want to learn the language. You don't feel like learning it. And I think that's the most, I would say, testing moment for you, because it's like your brain doesn't want to learn the language, but some other part of your brain wants to learn the language. So it's kind of a fight. What should I do to learn the language? I don't want to study, but I have to. So it's a battle that you have to fight. And you always have to let the side of your brain who wants to learn the language anyway win. So if you're not feeling up to it today, you should do it anyway, okay? Do it anyway, no matter how you feel. Plan over mood always, yo. If you want to learn a language, that's how it works. The next thing that we're going to talk about that I feel sometimes is very controversial, some people don't like it, is motivation. What is motivation? It's the motive for your acting. So if you don't have the motive why you're taking some actions, why you're doing something, you will give up, yo. I know this is maybe tough to hear and everything, but it's necessary. I'm only telling you this because this will set you free. This will make you understand how language learning works, and then you will just know it and do it right the next time. And people tend to, I think, confuse motivation with like, oh, it's gonna be all perfect, it's gonna be all good, it's gonna be a bed of roses, a walk in the park, but it's not how it works, guys. Motivation does not mean that you're gonna feel up to it, that you're gonna feel joyful, that you're gonna feel like you want to learn the language every single day. It's so fun. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it isn't. As I said, there will be hard days. But the motivation is what exactly? As I said, it's the motive that you have for doing that. So anytime you feel like you want to give up, try to remember why you started in the first place. And that's why people always say when they're guiding you how to start a language, they always say set a goal, set a goal, which means this goal that you have is your motivation. As I said, every time you think about quitting, you can just remember that you have a goal, you have a motive. If you don't do it, you won't achieve this goal, and that's why you keep going. The next principle that is so important as well is enjoyment. What does that mean? That means that you will learn with a routine that suits your tastes. Maybe you've never stopped to think about it, but the reason why you might be so demotivated to study your language is because you actually don't enjoy the process. Whatever it is that you're doing, you don't enjoy it. And perhaps the things that you enjoy watching, that you enjoy consuming in general, are in Portuguese. So let's say you love watching a specific series in Portuguese, but you're learning English, and you never associate English with that specific series, so that English never has this strong emotion in your brain. You never feel attached to English. That's the problem, or to any other language that you're learning. You never feel attached to it because you don't try consuming the things that you already consume, the things that you already like, that you're keen on in your target language, and that's a problem. I believe this so much, and I always say this to the people who follow me, to you guys who are here watching me. Get attached to your language. Get attached. You have to have some sort of emotional bond to this language. So me, for example, when I started learning English, one of the reasons why I stick to it until nowadays is because there are so many things that make me not want to give up English. For example, music. I love listening to music. I love singing music in English. I love watching things in English. I love how it sounds in general. So I am attached to the language. Like it or not, I am attached to the language. We have created a bond, me and English. And that's exactly what you have to do. Find something that brings you enjoyment. Sometimes it's not even that hard to find it. Some people come to me and say like, but how do I know what I like? You have to find out what you already like in the language that is already yours, so in Portuguese. And then you will transfer that to English or to your target language, whatever. And now let's go to our last point, which is personalization. I couldn't finish this video. I couldn't wrap up this video without talking about this point, without bringing this up, because I believe this as well so freaking much. This is one of the things that I believe will make you learn any language that you want. If you have personalization, my friend, you will go far. And this means the way that you learn suits your needs. We're not talking about tastes here. Tastes are important, but it's part of enjoyment. Now we're talking about needs. Needs is part of personalization. Remember, I said it's important to have a goal. It's based on your goal that you will create the method or the routine that you follow every single day. And this routine that you follow every single day is based on personalization as well. So for example, as you know, I talk about language learning here, and one of the ways I personalize my language learning when I'm learning, for example, English, when I'm learning German, Deutsch, is what? I follow people who also talk about language learning. Why? Because language learning is kind of part of my life. It's part of my work. So what I do is I consume a lot of content about language learning. I learn the terms that I need to explain the things that I want to explain in other languages. And this is me personalizing. It has all to do with my own life. My life, I kind of breathe language learning, so I have to talk about language learning in the languages that I learn, in my target languages. And I also always give this example. If you work in marketing, for example, You will watch people, you will want to watch people who also work in marketing, or if you are a doctor, you will want to watch doctors on YouTube, on social media in general. So why don't you do that already? Like, what is your job? What do you do for a living? Based on that, you will learn the language. You know, like, why? Because that way you will be able to use the language on a daily basis, because it has everything to do with your life, with your job, and then it's personalization. It's automatically something that you will be able to use. So just to summarize, we covered regularity, which is the first step, the first point we talked about. Then we talked about consistency, then motivation, then enjoyment, and then personalization. So from this video on, try to reevaluate your language learning. Just see if there's something missing, perhaps there's something you need to work on, or maybe you have all of these principles already, and if you do, congratulations, you are on the right path. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you want to be able to express yourself and to speak English for real, I'm going to leave the link to my English course on the description. And here are some other videos that I'm sure will help you just as much as this one did, I hope. And I see you in the next video. Bye!